I would like to share my story and consult with you. The irreparable has already happened, and now I want not to complicate things even more and not to make new mistakes. I am 35 years old, my wife Natalia is 2 years younger. With my wife we lived 14 years, we lived soul to soul. We have 2 children, a son Anton 13 years and daughter Vera 6 years. This year she went to school. This summer my son wanted to go to a military sports camp, and I through friends managed to get him a ticket, but it was necessary to undergo a medical examination to pass all the tests, including blood type. I did not remember my own blood type, but I knew exactly my wife's blood type. When we went with Anton to the clinic, he took the test. They told us that my son was type O. But since the test was done by my good friend, he suggested that I also check my blood type. I happen to be type AB. He frowned and said that cannot be. He asked, really, in the absence of Anton, like we adopted him. I said no, he's my own son and my wife's. He said it was impossible for a mother with a third and a father with a fourth to have a child with a first group. I got the address from my friend, where they established kinship, and decided to figure it all out on my own. I took the gum that Anton had thrown away, as well as some hair from my wife's comb. I was ready to believe anything, but not in her infidelity. I always thought that we have the most stable and friendly family. Natalia did not give me the slightest reason to doubt his fidelity. She was a loving wife, a loyal friend of which you can find. I thought either a variant of exception or children mixed up in maternity hospital, it happens, grasped at straws. But the results did not coincide with my expectations. They showed that my wife was Anton's mother, and I was not his father. I was desperate. Decided it was some kind of mistake. Just in case I checked paternity towards Vera, but Vera turned out to be my daughter. Concerning Anton, I repeated the analysis at another clinic. The result was the same. I had a serious conversation with my wife. I did not even know how to begin it. I loved my wife very much, and you cannot imagine how I felt at that moment. When Anton left for camp, we sent our daughter to her grandmother. I told my wife about everything, showing her all the documents on the DNA test. She turned white, then burst into tears, and told me a story from a long time ago which put everything in its place. She said that this was news to her and a shock, because she had always thought that Anton was my father. What she told me filled in all the blank spots of my life, and gave me the answers to the questions I had been puzzling over for the last 13 years. The thing is, I have a friend, Oleg. We are friends with him since 5th grade. He came to us, and the attitude to the newcomers is clear what, but I stuck up for him then at recess, and since then we were thick as thieves. We sat at the same desk, spent our leisure time together. Upon graduation, we both went to the same university, but to different faculties. I myself was able to buy my way out of the army and helped Oleg do it. One evening we decided to walk through the park together, to hang out, so to speak. We were sophomores at the time. So we met 2 pretty girlfriends in the park, and then by lot, stones, scissors, paper, I got a slender blonde girl, athletic build Natasha, and Oleg skinny as a cane brunette Irina. A year later Natasha and I had a wedding. Oleg and Ira were witnesses to it, and 6 months later we went to Oleg and Irina's wedding. And now to the point. On that ill-fated day I left on a business trip, just before I left my wife and I had a fight over some nonsense, but we argued a lot. And a week later, returning from a business trip, my Natasha, sobbing, rushed to meet me, hugging, kissing, endlessly repeating, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I decided that it was because of the quarrel in which I was mostly in the wrong. I did not pay any attention to it. There was a reconciliation through bed, and then she tells me that the day after I left Irina became ill because of an illness, and she lost her baby, a miscarriage with complications, and the doctor said that she would not be able to have any more children. Natalia walked around depressed for a week, and then a few days later she told me she was pregnant. I was happy and at the same time very worried about Irina and Oleg. After I left the hospital, Oleg decided to move to another city, even to another region, explaining that they needed a change of scenery and place of residence because of what had happened. He communicated with me dryly, nervously, and frowningly. When he found out about Natasha's pregnancy, he just muttered, "Congratulations." And then the truth came out. On the day when they took Irina by ambulance, they both went with her, and were in the hospital. When they were escorted out of there, Oleg was so broken up that he could not be left alone. Natalia was also very worried about her friend and because of the quarrel with me. They were left alone, as my wife told me, and then the despair came over them. It was like some kind of blackout. At that moment they both didn't know what they were doing. So they spent the night together. It was the only time she cheated on me, and in the morning they were both horrified by what they had done. Oleg decided to leave because he had lost the right to our friendship and acted like a pig, because he no longer knew how to look me and Natalia in the eyes after what had happened, and would feel guilty before Irina for the rest of his life. He decided that he would faithfully try to make it up to her with love and support when he was away from us. Natalia approved of his decision, as she also feels a great shame in front of her friend and me. Oleg told Natalia goodbye, that we had broken and destroyed our friendship, but offered to keep our families together. They're in another city. They adopted a good girl from an orphanage. Several times over the years they came to visit, but under no pretext did they stay with us overnight. They went to a hotel. Having listened to my wife's story to the end, I decided not to be too harsh. My attitude toward Anton would not change. He was still my son, though not by blood. In general, I forgave my wife. Why? I will explain. For all these years she more than once proved her love to me, was always there, even in the most difficult time in my life, supported me in everything. She was not a promiscuous woman, and her family has always been above all. Well, it happened. Everyone is entitled to one mistake. But that act won't undo all the good she did for me. After all, without her support, I probably would have been lost. And about Anton, she did not slip me someone else's child, because she did not know that you can get knocked up once. She always considered me Anton's father. I forgave my friend too. Of course he was treacherous, but I could see that he had repented. You cannot hold a grudge for the past. Moreover, I have already talked a lot about it with my wife. I think and insist that Oleg must know the truth. It is inhuman and cruel to hide his son from his father. But Natalia does not want to hear anything about it. She thinks that it may ruin the family, if not our family, then the family of Oleg and Ira. That she loves me and Oleg loves Irishka, even barren she did not leave, between them there can be nothing, why complicate everything? And what if Oleg suddenly wants to take Anton away from us? After all, besides him they have no children of their own, not counting the child adopted. So my wife is totally against it. Well, I still think that Oleg should know that he is growing a son. I will not divorce my wife. I believe that she loves me, and I love her, so this issue is not even on the table. I just want to know if I should tell Oleg about my son. Or do I have to carry this burden my whole life? We won't tell Anton, he'll know when the time comes.